Closed-door trial is beginning for American journalist Evan Gershkovich. He appeared in a Russian courtroom's glass cage today with his head recently shaved. He's accused of spying for the CIA, something that the U.S. government, his employer, the Wall Street Journal, and Gershkovich himself have vehemently denied. Russia has provided no evidence against him while keeping him in prison for more than a year so far. Joining us now is Joshua Yaffa. He's a friend of Evan Gershkovich. And Joshua, I wonder how you are receiving these new images, what your impressions are of how Evan is holding up.
The emotions really are similar to the ones that Evan's friends and colleagues have been feeling for the past year and a half, ever since she was arrested. Continued shock that this is happening, outrage at the absurdity and injustice of it all, of our friend being effectively held hostage on charges that are laughably false to anyone that knows Evan or really the work of a foreign correspondent like Evan abroad, mixed with a hope that we can get him home as soon as possible, that we're able to find some resolution to this where Evan comes home, a place he should be, have been from the very beginning. But now that this case has advanced to the point of this trial, which I'm tempted to put in air quotes, because this is less a legal proceeding than a kind of political show trial conducted for other motives, but nonetheless, the real emotion is one that of hoping that Evan can make his way home soon, and in the meantime continues to be strong and in good spirits and in good health, which amazingly, after a year and a half in Russian custody, he seems to have maintained.
Yeah, and he's been in a small cell in Moscow, but he was moved for the trial. And I'm wondering if you have any idea of what his living conditions are like now and where he's being kept now.
I don't. You're right in noting that he had been held in Lefortovo prison in Moscow, which is known as the kind of house prison or the detention facility under the control of the FSB, Russia's main security agency. And Lefortovo is known for its difficult conditions in terms of isolation, sensory deprivation, in terms of not really being exposed to other people or outside, and it's a very tightly controlled environment. He's been moved to Yekaterinburg, the site of his trial that is now ongoing, to a detention facility there. It's all so new that we don't really know much about this new facility in Yekaterinburg, but at the end of the day, as I mentioned in my remarks a minute ago, wherever Evan's being held, whatever Russian jail or detention facility has custody over Evan, it's a place where he shouldn't be,
Sure.
because these charges against him are false, and he's being held as a hostage, and as such he should be released. So I hope that the conditions in Yekaterinburg are no worse, and that perhaps even Evan finds some relief, psychological if not physical, but we don't know much more beyond that.
I'm wondering what you think about there not being reporters allowed in the courtroom during the trial itself. How concerned are you about transparency as this process unfolds, as you described it, a trial in air quotes?
Well, it's not surprising that the court or the trial is being conducted in secrecy. That's very convenient to label the charges of the evidence secret when there is no evidence, or the evidence, if it were to be made public, would be understood to be so clearly flimsy, if not false, as to kind of warrant all sorts of doubt, if not ridicule, about the process. So it's very convenient to declare the matter top secret, to not let journalists in. That allows the judge, the prosecutors, the FSB to conduct the trial in secret without having to reveal this evidence or open themselves up to any scrutiny or criticism. So in that sense, I'm not surprised. It is, of course, worrying, and it only deepens the outrage that our friend is not only being held hostage, but he's being held hostage without his hostage takers really having to explain themselves. And I find that very frustrating and angering. But like I said, not surprising, because I know, and all of Evan's friends, colleagues know, that there really isn't anything to these charges. And so to expose them to the kind of daylight, the kind of investigation that Evan himself, as a professional journalist, carries out, I think they know that that wouldn't reflect well on them. And so since they have total control over this process, easier just to make it secret.
Joshua Yaffa, we have to leave the conversation there. We appreciate you sharing some of your afternoon with us.
Thank you.